Hey yo, it's Retro. Welcome to another video. Y'all, I kind of got an interesting one today. So if y'all don't know me, and it's okay if y'all don't, I used to do a lot of like recommendation threads on my Twitter account. If you want to follow me, it's at retro_1999. But today I actually wanted to go through some of my old threads, talk about them, give y'all an insight of what I was thinking back in like 2021 and a few years ago, before like I even became like a reviewer or anything like that. Just some background history. I read a lot of comics, of course, like just like everybody else, but on Twitter I was like, I want people to read comics, so I started making threads. I started making recommendation threads. Some of my first ones like Flash, Superman, Daredevil, stuff like that, and just to like get people to read comics, because I feel like there's a lot of talk about comics, but a lot of people also always say they don't know where to start. So I was like, let me just put that out there for free, whatever. I've kind of shifted that like mentality as well. Like I like talking about comics in a very different way instead of just like here, read it. I like also giving my thoughts on them as well. Now, as you can see, like I have a channel and everything like that, but yeah, I just wanted to go through these. So I will be putting them up here somewhere on the screen, but as I'm going through them, the first one I'm gonna go through is my recommended reading for Superman, which I will say I had a video planned, and I might still do it, but I had a video planned for like Superman recommendations, or like more so just like a discussion of what I think. And really, y'all have seen my Superman videos. Just watch those. The origin one, the New 52 one. Just watch those, like, and the Bendis one, like, just watch those. And if you want to read those as well. Like, anyways, so let's see. First on this list, I had Superman Birthright by Mark Waid. Now, this is probably still like my number one Superman comic. I don't think there is, and if you watch my Superman Origins video, like this is the one that I was like, I love this one the most, outside of like New 52. If you just want a quick 12 issue run that like of Superman or whatever, Superman Birthright is the one. I've talked about it to ad nauseum, and yeah, I still believe this one. I still believe this is like the one you should read. No notes, really. I love this run. Mark Waid, this is back when Mark Waid was still in his bag. Lionel Francis is so different from what you expect in a Superman comic, but also like fits very well still. A lot of the visual storytelling in this comic is amazing as well. Really like one of the defining widescreen era comics back in the day. And if you don't know what the widescreen era is, basically like in the early thousands, a couple artists, most significantly Brian Hitch, John Cassaday, Lionel Francis was one of them as well, who kind of just changed the way they drew comics to give it more of a cinematic feel. This was one of those ones that definitely has that feeling. Great Superman comic. I cannot praise it enough. But yeah, that's that for that one. The next one, Superman Brainiac by Jeff Johns, Gary Frank. I still like this comic quite a bit. I actually think this is the best. I don't want to say this is the best Brainiac story, but it's definitely one of the better first appearance of Brainiac for Superman. It's a little bit of background. Back in like the mid 2000s, Jeff Johns was kind of like soft rebooting Superman. So there was, first appearance of Brainiac. There was also like not the first appearance, but like they showed like a new Krypton and all that kind of stuff. Like he had like a bunch of stuff that he was just like going back and like redoing. A Jeff Johns thing, but this is actually one of the better ones, along with Legion of Superheroes. Well, his Superman and the Legion of Superheroes series. Brainiac, it feels definitely like a script for a movie, and if they ever do like a Brainiac Superman movie, this and also Superman 78, these are the ones you need to go to for sure. These are awesome Brainiac stories. Not many out there that are amazing in the modern era, at least. And also like this entire like recommended reading thread was mostly like modern era stuff. I didn't start reading a bunch of more of Superman until, well, Y'all saw the videos. I told y'all plenty of times. But yeah, Brainiac, still a great comic book. I love this. Gary Frank's art is amazing in this. Some of the shots where Superman is wailing into Brainiac is awesome. I love it. One of the comics that actually shows like Clark's multifacetedness. Like, there's this misconception that Superman is supposed to be stoic and everything like that, and no, he's human. Like, he's Kryptonian, but he's still like kind of a human being. He has emotions and all that kind of stuff. And this, you really see Superman get angry in this comic, and I love it. I love it. Gary Frank's amazing. Draws him like Christopher Reeves, but I love it. Great comic book for sure. Next we have really, like, this is more Jeff Johns, but also more James Robinson as well. Superman New Krypton and Superman War of the Supermen. I haven't read this comic in a long time. I tried reading it recently, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not on my list of must-read Superman comics. James Robinson is not a bad writer by any stretch of the means, and maybe I need to reread it again. But yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Like, I don't have much to say about this run just because I don't remember too much from it. But I also remember just like not loving it. I kind of put this on my recommended reading thread just because it's one of the more popular like Superman comics out there. Especially in the mid 2000s, and it continues from Superman, Brainiac, and Legion of the Superheroes. So like, if you wanted to read like all of Jeff Johns's like Superman run, like this is also included in there. For someone like me who doesn't really love Jeff Johns as a writer, I do think his Superman is probably his strongest stuff, especially because he does away with the John Byrne, I'm an American crap. He really pushes that narrative of Superman being an immigrant and also protecting immigrants and protecting the oppressed. I don't have much to say about this run. I have to reread it for sure. But you know, I think a lot of people do like it though. I do think a lot of people like it. Next we have All-Star Superman. I love this run. Not to say anything about like this run's quality. All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison and Frank Quietly. One of the best, and I mean one of the fucking best comics ever. One of the best comic duos ever. I ain't got much to say, quite frankly. This is a great Superman run. I don't think I would, I mean, like, if I was making like a new recommendation list, I don't think I'm putting it like smack dab in the middle. But I do remember, I feel like I made this more so like order of release, and it was also like my whole thought process behind like making recommendations was like you could start anywhere, and I do truly believe if you read any of these Superman comics that I'm going to read off, except for one, you will be fine, except for two, but you will be fine. You will get the gist of Superman, and you can start anywhere and then continue from there and read anything else. All-Star Superman, while I think it's more so of a final Superman story, I mean, it is it's Superman's last adventure, realistically, but it is a fantastic Superman comic, like my first Superman comic. And while a lot of people say it shouldn't be your first, I mean, like, read whatever the hell you want. That's how I'm always. I'm of that camp. You can read whatever the hell you want. But yeah, I love that comic. I have the new deluxe edition. I had the old one as well. Yeah, I can't get enough of this comic, really. And then Superman Up in the Sky by Tom King and Andy Kubert. Okay, I have a very complicated history with Tom King as a writer, and I'm gonna be real with y'all. I like me some of Tom King's stories. Rorschach, Superman Up in the Sky, this one, I'm telling you, this one. A lot of his Batman, I love a lot of his Batman run. Strange Adventures, I also like. But over time, a lot of his comments towards like his past kind of made me decide like some of these works that he writes doesn't make any sense, and maybe they feel too real and they don't feel as reflective as they sound. Especially Strange Adventures, a story that I thought was really about a war criminal regretting what he had done and more so making fun of the fact that people who do bad shit always profit off of it. But I guess, like, if you've heard his recent comments about loving being in the CIA, it kind of just contradicts all of that stuff. Kind of off topic, but Superman Up in the Sky, I think it's a great Superman story. I love this is more of a stoic Superman in some aspects, but it does show Superman's willingness to help everybody and save everyone. And it does kind of a like 12 Labors of Hercules style of story. I like it still. I still think it's a great Superman comic. If you don't want to support it, I truly understand. But I think it's a great Superman story. That's just me. And then Superman, Lois and Clark. Superman, Lois and Clark by Dan Jurgens, Lee Weeks, and Scott Hanna is basically the beginning of the end for Superman post New 52. What do I mean by that? So back in New 52, of course, the entire DC universe was rebooted and we had this new Superman. Now, a lot of people did not like this new Superman. They did not like that Lois Lane and Superman were not together. And they were like, we want our Superman back. So Dan Jurgens comes and writes the story, essentially saying that post-crisis Superman before New 52 is still alive, and he's been on this Earth Prime this whole time, just kind of, lying in wait, I guess, not really like doing anything, and raising a child, Jonathan Kent. This is what makes me not like Rebirth a lot. And I put it here back when I made this thread because I did think it was good. I liked it then, but over time I did sour on it just because I started liking New 52 Superman a lot. And post-crisis Superman is not this perfect character. There is a lot wrong with post-crisis. Not to say they should have erased it, but also bringing him back and being this is the Superman y'all love, right? This is the one. We brought him back. And also he's gonna take over. Also, New 52 Superman's gonna die. And also, everything that happened in New 52 basically doesn't matter anymore. But also, we're gonna have them fuse. And now I got the best of both worlds. This is everything, and I mean everything I hate about DC at times. Just this idea that things they can't take real big swings without going back. I dislike it so much. On its own, in a vacuum, it's a fine story. It's actually really good. Lee Weeks' art is amazing, as always. Dan Jurgens is an okay writer. It's not a bad comic. I just think for me, when it comes to you're taking this big ass swing in DC at New 52, you had Grant Morrison writing Superman. You had Greg Pak writing Superman. You had Gene Luen Yang writing Superman. And then you go back to this milquetoast, basic ass Superman that is not a revolutionary, that is not a champion of the oppressed, that is a patriot, that loves the military. And it's just and this also goes into the next one, Superman Rebirth by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. Patrick Gleason's art is amazing in this, and he co-wrote this, but I also do think this run is what you call a course correct. And funnily enough, this run came out when Donald Trump came into presidency. So yeah, I don't like Superman Rebirth. Again, another run where I feel on its own and in a vacuum, it's okay until you get to the military stuff. But outside of that, it's okay. The art's phenomenal. The best part about this is the Kent family and how Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason write them. I like that dynamic. I like seeing Superman as a father. That's not the whole run though. There are some things that are amiss. John Kent in this run is great though. And going into Superboys or whatever with Damian Wayne, that's cool. That's really dope. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of this run anymore. I've kind of grown past it. This is me growing up, I guess. But yeah, it's decent. A lot of people like this run though, and I can't blame them for liking it, but I think when you read New 52, you're kind of oh man, why'd they do this, And next you got Superman and the Authority by Grant Morrison, Mikhail Yanin, and Jordi Belair. Now this this is a Superman run. This is only 4 issues. This is like Grant Morrison's final comic book at DC, unless I'm missing something else. But this was basically like a scrapped 5G future state kind of situation where Superman was old, he was losing his powers, and he assembles a team to kind of like pick up where he left off. And it goes back and forth between when Superman was at his prime in the 60s and also like back to now, and you know, pulling together this new team to fight crime and protect the world. It's dope. I love Superman and the Authority. It feels like a victory lap for Grant Morrison for his time at DC. And if you really wanted to read like all of his Superman stuff, I think it's like Action Comics is the beginning. You read this, and then I think you can read like All-Star Superman or something like that. It's dope though. I love this run. Fantastic series, fantastic story. Anything Grant Morrison is fantastic though. They're my favorite writer outside of Dwayne McDuffie. So maybe I'm biased, but I think you should read this. It's dope. A lot of fun ideas in this, and a lot of like batshit insane stuff. Fire for real. And then finally in this thread, I added Action Comics by Grant Morrison, Rag Morales, Andy Kubert, and Brad Walker. I've talked about this run. Action Comics by Grant Morrison is the best portrayal of Superman in the last like 40 years. Not much to say. Enough said. Like, I love this run. I've read it like multiple times since I've done this thread. So that kind of just tells you everything you need to know, really. Amazing run. Now let's see what else we got in here. Oh man. Okay. All right, so next let's go over my like recommended reading for Spider-Man. I said in this there were a lot of jumping on points, and this one was fun because a lot of people, you know, attacked me for this, but I don't care. Would I change this? I'm looking through it right now. I don't know if I would change this, but let's just start. So my first one was Ultimate Spider-Man by Mark Waid and Mark Bagley. You could kind of tell like where my evolution as a reader comes from with this thread. A lot of this is like nostalgia for me. So Ultimate Spider-Man, it's great in its own right. It's still a great comic book. It's still a great Spider-Man comic book. Would I say you should read this if you're looking to read 616 Spider-Man? No, but it's still good. Like it's still a great comic book. So, you know, I think you should read it. Very nostalgic though. Like I read it when I was a kid, so I'm gonna forever love this comic. And then Spider-Man Blue, Spider-Man Life Story. So Spider-Man Blue by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, and then Spider-Man Life Story by Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley. I don't know what I was smoking when I made this. Spider-Man Blue is decent. I know a lot of people hate it now. I do think like genuinely like Spider-Man's relationship with Gwen Stacy just is not the best thing. So if you have a run reminiscing on that and then moving forward to MJ, it's kind of like whatever. Tim Sale's art is amazing though. Like, God, rest in peace, man. I wish he got more chances to draw other stuff with other people, but and he did. But I wish he drew a Spider-Man comic that did not include Jeff Loeb. So it's okay. I'm not recommending this now. Definitely not. Definitely not. Spider-Man Life Story. I know why I put this here. I put this here because this kind of gives like a decent like history dump of Spider-Man over the last like 60 years when this came out. And like if you wanted to just like know the gist of like the kind of stuff that happened to Spider-Man, but still like disconnected from the fact that Spider-Man Life Story is out of continuity and Spider-Man doesn't actually age in 616. If you wanted to know like how the Clone Saga happened, how Venom happened, all that kind of stuff, like I guess if you don't want to just read like the old comics, but it's a great comic book, but it's not a great comic book if you're trying to like get into Spider-Man or like get to know like 616 Spider-Man. It's out of continuity. You have to read it knowing that this is not connected to anything else, but still a dope comic. I still love this quite a bit. And even the annual that comes out, like I think a couple years later with that follows J. Jonah Jameson, One of Chip Zdarsky's greatest contribution to Spider-Man comics is his writing of J. Jonah Jameson. Great annual, and also anything that like he's written of J. Jonah Jameson is fantastic. I love that. But would I put it in the beginning with Spider-Man Thread now? No, not really. I wouldn't recommend this. I think I would recommend this with, like I said, with the impetus of you should read it if you just want something fun and something out of continuity. And then Stan Lee's Amazing Spider-Man Masterworks, Volume 1 to 11. Back then, man, it was hard to find like Amazing Spider-Man like comics, like the old one. So forgive me in this, but yeah, Masterworks work. I think like the omnibus just got reprinted, so you could read that. I will say now, when I posted this thread, I hadn't read Stan Lee's run in a while, but recently I did read it. I think I read it, like I reread it 2 years after that I posted this thread. And I will say right now, my feelings towards Stan Lee's run is this: the Steve Ditko era and the John Romita Sr. era, two very different feelings. Steve Ditko is a fantastic and like always remembered and legend in the comic space, but I did not connect with that run. I think it's good, I think it's okay, but I feel like Stan Lee's writing ability comes out way more with John Romita Sr., and you could tell. Steve Ditko's run feels like Jack Kirby and Stan Lee's Fantastic Four, where it's the writer writing things with the intention of a story going one way and Stan Lee inserting a completely different like dialogue. Like it's two people, it's two creators at odds with each other. Now the Romita stuff, that feels cohesive. It feels like there's actual there's actual collaboration there. I love the John Romita Sr. stuff. One of my favorite, I mean, obviously, but one of my favorite Spider-Man runs, it's up there. I think it's like, I would have it like maybe like top two, one or two, probably one. Two, y'all be mad at, but it's okay, it's whatever. This is just my opinion. And if you don't like it, too bad. But anyways, after that, Jerry Conway's Amazing Spider-Man. I love that run as well. These are classics. Like Jerry Conway and Gil Kane that is where a lot of classic like Spider-Man stories are from. Clone Saga, Jackal, he deals with Punisher, I think Green Goblin. I think like Harry becomes Green Goblin during this too, or something like that. No, this is when Norman Osborn dies as well, because Gwen Stacy dies in this too. So it's like, you know, great run. I love this. This is kind of like the next evolution of Lee and Romita Jr. and Conway like does a really good job. I love his run. And also this is when Peter and MJ start dating for the first time too. So cool stuff. He killed Gwen Stacy, so I'm stoked about that. I'm kidding, but yeah, I wasn't a big fan of their relationship, but it is what it is. And then you had, next after that, I put Amazing Spider-Man by Roger Stern. This run for a long time is my favorite Spider-Man run because it puts Spider-Man in college. He deals with Hobgoblin. Black Cat is introduced. This is a dope run. You even had Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut. Like this was a dope Spider-Man run. I love college Peter Parker. Especially like, I think he was getting his master's or something like that. One of those, but he's an adult, full on adult. He lives on his own. He has his own apartment. And I love this era. This is like where I constantly want people to go back to. When I say like, you should read a Spider-Man run, this is the Spider-Man run I always point to. It's dope. I love this run. And John Romita Jr. first starts drawing this one. This is the first time John Romita Jr. draws Spider-Man for a run. Like, amazing art too. Y'all know the classic Hobgoblin picture I'm gonna put up here. I even have it here, this damn thing here. Like, I had to buy this because this is my favorite run. Like, classic cover, man, classic cover. After that, I put Kraven's Last Hunt by J.M. DeMatteis and Mike Zeck. Man, what a run, what a story. One of the best Spider-Man stories ever. I love there really isn't much to say. Like, everyone loves the story, so yeah, there's not much to say about this one. I think I do want to reread this for the one time, just because I haven't read it in quite some time. But you know, this is like post Secret Wars. He has the black suit. I think he's wearing the black suit for the majority of this. I can't remember, something like that. But it's fire. I like the story a lot, of course, like everyone does. This is a classic story, classic Spider-Man story. After that, I had Amazing Spider-Man by David Michelinie, Mark Bagley, and Todd McFarlane. I will say that for the first time, this is the one run I probably would not put back again. This is a okay Spider-Man run. I think that like the best part about this is the art for sure. Todd McFarlane and Mark Bagley drawing Spider-Man, drawing my favorite Spider-Man. Like, this is my favorite look for Spider-Man, where the eyes are gigantic. It's the best looking Spider-Man comic for sure. But the story kind of falls flat, and it's kind of like a revolving door of decent to okay Spider-Man stories. By this point, MJ, or not by this point, but during this run, MJ and Peter Parker do get married, and it's okay. Like, you know, it's, you know, they're fetishized and everything like that, so it's like, it's whatever. That was a joke, that was sarcasm. But like, it's decent. Like, I think a lot of people have nostalgia for this run because they grew up with it, and that's fair. I do understand that. Like, I have nostalgia for Ultimate Spider-Man, of course, but for me, I'm not a lover of this run. I'm not. I put it here because it's a seminal like Spider-Man run for sure. Like, when people think of like classics, they do think of this one, especially because of Todd McFarlane and Mark Bagley drawing Spider-Man for the first time here. But, you know, there's definitely better runs out there, definitely, especially in the last few years. I have a hot take about that one, and I'll talk about that later. And then you have, after that, I put Amazing Spider-Man by J. Michael Straczynski. Now this is also another classic. I like this one. I like this run a lot. I mean, I got it right here, of course. So like, you know, I do like this run a lot. Of course, everyone does. This is the Spider-Man comic of the modern day, of the modern era. Yeah, this is the Spider-Man run. I have no notes about this one. I think it's great. That's it. I think it's great. I do think it's not as great as a lot of people think. But I think when it is like amazing, you know, during the beginning of it, of course, Homecoming, all that kind of stuff. I've recently reread that first arc. That's an amazing and insane first arc to have. John Romita Jr. on art as well for a lot of this. Mike Deodato as well. Great run. Not much to say. I love it. Everyone does. So, of course. And then after that, I forgot about this one. Spider-Man Back in Black by J. Michael Straczynski, Peter David, rest in peace, Ron Garney, and Todd Knock. I don't remember this run. I do know Straczynski wrote a decent amount of this stuff. Like, this was, yeah, Straczynski and Garney. Like, this was, I remember. So in my thread, and I'm gonna show it, of course, but in my thread, I stopped it at like 508 because after that, I think that's when Skin Deep happens. That's when oh my God, what's that story called? This is when, I stopped it at 508 because this is when Skin Deep and Sin's Past happens. I think it happens like immediately after that. He has like the New Avengers stuff. He does write like the New Avengers tie-in stuff, but I just stopped it right there because I was just like, everything after that's kind of trash. Not really. There is some like gems after Sin's Past and Skin Deep, but yeah, this is, yeah. Back in Black is fun though. I think it does show a lot of like very brutal stuff for Peter Parker. Like, shows him being a lot more ruthless, but it's a fun Spider-Man story for sure. Man, this thread is all over the place. I hate this. I hate this so much. Then you also I also put Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. I'm not putting this again. This is like, this was back when I was super nostalgic for Peter Parker and MJ being together again. And I do want them together, don't get me wrong, but I don't think this run is the greatest. It's fun. It's it's like mindless fun. Stegman draws this a lot, so it's like if you want like an alternate reality timeline where Spider-Man and MJ are together and they have a kid named, I think her name was Anna Marie, some crap. She was named after Aunt May, something like that. It's fun, it's okay. And then, I'm about to say and then a lot this video. Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man by Chip Zdarsky. I still think this is a good Spider-Man run. This is where the evolution of J. Jonah Jameson happens. I love this. I love that for J. Jonah Jameson. It makes him a more complete character and like antagonist for Peter Parker. Dope. I got nothing much to say. I haven't read this in a while. I probably should, but it's a great run for sure. A lot of people love this run. I think it's a really good one. Ooh, this was a tough one. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man by Tom Taylor and Juan Cabal. I'm not putting this again. There's some alarming things in this run. This run is like the epitome of Tom Taylor, where he's like, it's not interesting. It's okay. Like, it's fun. I think like if you were just getting into comics, this is like a perfect comic to read just because you haven't read anything else, so you don't know like what actually is good. And then you start reading like everything else. It's okay. Like, it's okay. And then this list just eventually devolves into like chaos. I have Miles Morales Spider-Man by Saladin Ahmed. Great Miles Morales run. I fell off of it towards the end of it. I love the new suit that happened like during I think it was like the 10th anniversary. A lot of people like the Cody Ziegler run a lot more. I am not one of those people, but I do think it probably is still great. I think the beginning is a lot stronger, but Miles Morales by Saladin Ahmed is really cool. I think it's really fun. The best Miles Morales run at this point when it came out, I think Cody Ziegler does a lot of fun things with Miles being Spider-Man. I think they're kind of neck and neck though, as far as like being Spider-Man runs, as far as being Miles Morales runs. I think they're neck and neck. And then Spider-Man 2099 by Peter David and Rick Leonardi. Classic 90s run. Love that damn suit. Maybe I'll do a video. Maybe. I don't know. Still thinking about it. Great run though. One of Peter David's classics. And Rick Leonardi's art all throughout this run is fantastic. You know, cool alternate future thing. If you don't know what 2099 is, back in the 90s, Marvel created this like imprint, sort of like this line of comics where that was set in 2099, which was basically like they treated it as like a future of the timeline, a possible future at least. It's not entirely canon, but it's, you know, it's the idea that everything is hurtling towards that point. There's a new Spider-Man, of course, and this is fun. This is a fun run. I think if you want some like 90s like Spider-Man stuff, I think you should read this instead of Michelini. That's a hot take, but that's me personally. Got Spider-Girl in here. Classic run. Tom DeFalco, Ron Friends. You know, if you never read this, I think it's interesting. Another alternate future run where Peter Parker and MJ have a kid. She becomes Spider-Girl. She becomes a superhero. I love that suit. Amazing. It's 90s, early thousands comics for sure, but a classic as well. I'm gonna keep saying classic because I will be frank, I haven't read these in quite some time. So I don't remember like specific plot points, but I do remember enjoying them. Like I do. Oh my God, Symbiote Spider-Man by Peter David. This comic is fun. It's like if you want to return to the 80s, definitely read this. I think this was like post Secret War. This is like immediately after Secret War, the first one. And, you know, Peter David writes Spider-Man during this time and just has some like really fun moments with Mysterio and Hobgoblin. Greg Land draws it, unfortunately, so there's that. If you're still nostalgic for that time of Spider-Man, which I am, quite frankly, yeah, it's a good run for sure. This is where my hot take comes in. Taking place after J. Michael Straczynski's run, I did input like after I reread Brand New Day and Big Time Superior Spider-Man, I had to put in Brand New Day because I love that run, and I will probably make a video about that one day just to like talk about my full thoughts on it. But I will say, like, when it's coming to Spider-Man stories, just like in a vacuum and the quality that they are, separated from continuity and everything like that. I mean, like, look, sometimes we got to. I read comics because I like the stories, not because I want them to be connected to everything. But Brand New Day, New Ways to Live, The Gauntlet, The Origin of the Species, bro, this run is fire. I'm sorry, Brand New Day is a fire era. I love all the different writers that wrote during this time. Dan Slott, Joe Kelly, Zeb Wells, Mark Waid, fucking Roger Stern even wrote a couple issues. Like, I love this time for Spider-Man, and the art is phenomenal. I don't care. And then Big Time by Dan Slott and Humberto Ramos, and I think also Marcos Martin drew some of this. Big Time is fantastic. This is like peak Avengers era where Spider-Man was on the Avengers. He had a new girlfriend. He was rebuilding his life still. This is post like rebuilding his life. I love Big Time. I think Big Time is fun. I think Big Time is like the epitome of what Spider-Man should look like. And this hurdles towards Superior Spider-Man. And look, man, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of this entire era. Dan Slott's run is one of my favorite. I'm sorry. I know that may be disappointing to you guys, and you know, like, I get it, but I look at these comics in a very different way. I'm not a big stickler for like continuity or like, you know, wanting Peter Parker and MJ to be married. I do want them to be married, but I'm not like crazy for it. When you're just talking about like good comic books, if you never read Spider-Man and you read this, you're gonna love it. If you maybe read Stan Lee and Ditko's, if you maybe read Lee and Romita, if you read Roger Stern and you went here, you would love this too. It's just the fact that they got married and then they got split up. I hate One More Day. I hate One More Day. That's why it's not here. That's why Since Past ain't here. That's why Skin Deep ain't here. But I can recognize a good story when I see it. That's Big Time. That's Brand New Day. That's all of the issues that happened during that Brand New Day era. Superior Spider-Man as well. Dope runs. Also, I did end up reading like Spectacular Spider-Man by JMD Mateus and Sal Buscema, which is a banger run. One of the best Spider-Man runs ever. Yeah, this is like, it's unfortunate because this run isn't collected in English for some reason. It's collected in Dutch, unless I'm missing it, but unless there was some like solicits recently. But this is a fire run. This is basically like the fall of Harry Osborn. Dope, very dope run. Peter Parker, this is peak of Peter Parker and MJ being together as well. This is like their best written relationship. So fantastic run. And I also had Spider-Man Hobgoblin Lives, which is this was the makeup for Roger Stern not being able to finish his Amazing Spider-Man run, which, yeah, he didn't get to finish his Amazing Spider-Man run. And the mystery of who the Hobgoblin was a mystery, and people kept trying to, you know, change that over the years because they were trying to fix it. And simply because Marvel didn't let Roger Stern finish his mystery. It is what it is. Really cool story. The art is fantastic. Ron Frenz draws this. It's great. It's unfortunate that this had to come out like years later. And like, you know, it's so unfortunate because like this comes out years later, and this is also after like Tom DeFalco had like tried to pick up the pieces because Roger Stern didn't make any notes about who the Hobgoblin actually was. So Tom DeFalco had to like fix that and like try to make it make sense, and it just never made sense. And it was this like constant thing of, this is who the Hobgoblin is. No, this is who the Hobgoblin is. It was a mess. This kind of cleans that up. That's how you find out it was Roger Kingsley, and dope. But yeah, that's my Spider-Man run. This video is running quite a bit. Let's see what else we can get in here. I have quite a bit of recommended reads. I do still think a lot of these are like worth reading. Oof, 90s X-Men. You know what I will do? Let's take a look back. And this is my last one. So flashing back to 2021, the end of 2021, and I did like my top 10 favorite comics of the year, out of order, not really in order whatsoever. But I had like a top 10, like not just comics that came out in 2021, but also like comics that I just read in general. First one, The Many Deaths of Layla Starr by Ram V and Felipe Andrade. Ooh, man, this was a phenomenal comic book. This book, outside of Swamp Thing, made me a Ram V fan. This changed my life. I fucking love this comic book. Oh my God. The story about life and death in the perspective of a Hindu god. Fire. Ram V is amazing. And the way Felipe Andrade portrays this comic, draws it, and really shows what Mumbai, India looks like. Amazing comic. Ram V is one of my favorite writers right now. Not many writers doing it like him, quite honest with you. Amazing comic book. Superman and the Authority by Grant Morrison and Mikhail Yenin. I already talked about this earlier. Great comic book. Victory Lap, whatever. Awesome. Ooh, man. So this was a little bit of backstory. John Constantine Hellblazer, In the Line of Fire by Paul Jenkins, Sean Phillips, and Al Davison. This was during my in this year, I read 250 issues of John Constantine Hellblazer, and I was a madman. I was insane for this, but I loved this series. Hellblazer is one of my favorite characters ever, one of my favorite comics ever. This run specifically with Paul Jenkins and Sean Phillips. My introduction to Sean Phillips was the Brubaker stuff, but this was seeing his early work with Paul Jenkins is fire. I love Constantine. This run isn't better than Mike Carey or Jamie Delano. If you want to read Hellblazer, definitely read those as well. But this run is where I fell in love with John Constantine. A lot of one-shot issues in there, one-off stories. The art is fantastic, perfectly portrays John Constantine. I have a very this run holds a special place in my heart. I love this. Oh man, The Swamp Thing by Ram V, Mike Perkins, and Mike Spicer. What an interesting and new origin for a new avatar of the Swamp Thing. A lot of social commentary on capitalism and what it does to people and how it displaces a lot of people and changes our traditions as a society. An amazing run. Ram V is one of the only writers now who could really pull a book like this off, and he does it in spades. This is a fantastic comic, and the art is phenomenal. I was talking about it when it was coming out. The art in this run is next level stuff. A lot of body horror too. Amazing run. Ooh, Hawkeye by Matt Fraction and David Aja. A lot of people know. If you don't know, you need to know. This is a comic that changed comics forever, and Matt Fraction is an insane writer, especially for the 2010s. One of the best during that period. David Aja's pencils, layouts, his everything. It's so creative. It's so intentional. It's so minimalistic. One of the best artists ever, I think. And this run, when I say it changed comics, it really showed the behind the scenes of characters a lot more and focused on that, what they're doing away from being an Avenger, what these characters do away from being a Justice League or from being Batman. This really does perfectly showcase how to do that stuff. It's great. If you haven't read this, you should read it. You should definitely read it. Going on, Criminal by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. If y'all haven't read Criminal, y'all haven't watched my Criminal video. I have that linked right here, by the way. But if y'all haven't read Criminal, this is my favorite comic book of all time. When I read this comic, this made me realize I love noir comics so much, and it turned me into a completely different reader. I became a completely different comic book reader after reading this comic, and if you haven't read this, you should. You may not have the exact same feelings towards it as I do, but I think if anybody wants to see what comics really are, what creating comic books really should be, how like you create a universe outside of Marvel and everything like that. What it means to really follow a creator outside of the big two. I always say, if you love a writer, if you love comics, you should be going outside of the big two, because all of these like independent comics, even though this wasn't originally published by Image, this was under like Marvel's like Icon series, but though that was basically like their independent like studio and their imprint, whatever, dropped the ball completely. They dissolved it. I don't even think it doesn't even exist anymore. And that's why they published it with they reprinted it and published it with Image. But yeah, if I really say you really haven't read comics until you read an independent comic, doesn't matter what it is, like even if you read Invincible or something like that, which is not the best comic, I have a whole bunch of indie comics that I love. So I think you should read independent comics if you really want to get into comics to see like how this really works. Dope comic. I love it so much. Love it. I cannot stop talking about it. So let me stop. Guardians of the Galaxy by Al Ewing and Juan Cabal. Oh, this is like Al Ewing just like proving again that he is the cosmic writer that you should be going to. And unfortunately, he really did not get to flex his muscles when it comes to Cosmic Marvel, but this was so much fun. Nova and Peter Quill and I think Gamora having their little like threesome or whatever. This whole team being revolutionized. The Guardians of the Galaxy in general becoming like this different team. Fire. And also like the final page of it being like, not the final page, but one of the final pages, like going back to the first issues, like quote being, "Then it's us." Fire, man. Al Ewing's an amazing writer. I love his work still. I know some people kind of soured on this stuff with like Immortal Thor and Absolute Green Lantern. I still think he's a fantastic writer. I will still believe that. This is a good one. X-Men by Mike Carey. Mike Carey is an amazing, super underrated writer, underrated X-Men writer. A run that led into Messiah Complex, one of the best X-Men eras ever. If you've never read that, you need to read that. Redefines like Rogue as a character and her superpowers, really pushing her to be like a leader and everything. Fire run. The only run where Iceman is included and I actually like him. It's a great run. So different. It's so different. This is also where the Children of the Vault get introduced. Fire. I love this run. I love it. Uncanny X-Men by Matt Fraction, another run that is just like one of the best X-Men eras, man. Like this like Nation X, post Messiah Complex, post needing like a new like island. Ed Brubaker sets up this era very well, but Matt Fraction takes it and hits the ground running. This leads into like Kieran Gillen stuff. I'd say Uncanny X-Men by Matt Fraction, but really I should have put like this entire era, like the post Messiah Complex era of Matt Fraction, like the post Messiah Complex era of X-Men. Fantastic run. I love this era of X-Men. A lot of people will ask me what's my favorite X-Men run. I'd probably say this era, by the way, not run, era. Claremont's era is great. Outback era is actually the best one of that run. Krakoa's amazing, of course, but this one was the one where I was like, I liked everything in this run for sure. Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing. 2 Al Ewing runs in this, by the way. I love Al Ewing. So 2 Al Ewings, 2 Ram Vs. Like this just shows like how much I do like Al Ewing as a writer. Immortal Hulk, everybody knows this is like body horror, the comic for Hulk, and really redefining the way Hulk interacts with Bruce Banner and all of his personas. It's an epic Hulk story, and also a love letter to Peter David's Hulk run. Fire. I think it's like 50 issues. I'm glad that he got the 50 issues for this. So definitely a must-read comic book for like the last decade or so. Definitely should read it. And I had some like honorable mentions and like a past like shout out. Honorable mention, Die by Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hans. Amazing independent comic. This is like taking like, this takes what is it called? This takes Dungeons and Dragons and makes it your worst nightmare, basically. These group of kids finds a Dungeons and Dragons like game, that transports them actually into that world. They live there for some time. They come out and they're like, never speak of this again. And then they come back and they realize they need to go back because someone was stuck there. Ugh. And like they age in that time. They age for real. It's a fire comic. Stephanie Hans's art is amazing. Fire. I actually wish I would actually probably replace this with Superman and the Authority. While I love this comic a lot, I would put this more as an honorable mention. I think Die is, I'm gonna put it up, but Die next to Aquaman by Dan Abnett and New Mutants by Zeb Wells doesn't look great but like it is genuinely an amazing comic. And also the other two as well. Aquaman by Dan Abnett is the best Aquaman run to me. This was also during the time where I read like a bunch of Aquaman stories, so I kind of do know my shit, but this is like my favorite Aquaman run for sure. This is Aquaman Rebirth. Great run. That goes into like Drowned and all that kind of stuff. Fire. And then New Mutants by Zeb Wells. The best New Mutants run outside of Claremont and Vita Ayala, for sure. Not many out there you got the Louis Simons, you got that goes into X-Force. You got fucking Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning, which I don't like whatsoever. It's fun for all the characters, but the way Roberto da Costa is treated in that run I don't like it. Ed Brisson's decent. Jonathan Hickman's New Mutants run is decent, but they're not really runs. They're just like, a couple issues. But Zeb Wells is like one of the more complete New Mutants runs that really does showcase the team in a fantastic way. I love that run. And shout out Far Sector, one of my favorite comics of all time. N.K. Jemisin and Jamal Campbell killing it. But yeah, this video is kind of running long, so yeah, if y'all want more stuff like this, going back and looking through my threads, let me know in the comment section below. I just wanted to go through it just because this was like a pretty significant part of my time as a reader, and I will be quite honest, like without doing this, like I don't become like a reviewer, I guess. Like there is a lot of threads that I have that in like reviews, it like evolves into doing reviews and all that kind of stuff. So like, it's pretty foundational, and I started writing reviews after it, and I got a push to become a content creator and start making videos. So yeah, if y'all want more of this, let me know in the comment section below for sure. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video, man. Peace.